Hello, this is Dogcesy. So today I'll be talking about the operators from the CC shop because my friend asked me to. So why not? So my friend asked me to, so I guess why not? So yeah, I did say just if you want I can just write it in text, but he wanted to be in a video format so that he can more easily refer to it since we are actually communicating. So you're afraid by the time we wants to like revisit the information again, the messages will like push all the way up. So just make it into a YouTube video so it's easier for him to access whenever he wants to. I have I guess that's that. Can't really argue with that, but yeah, that's his justification for me to make a video, I guess. Um, just why not, I guess, to be honest. So yeah, we're talking about the operators from the CC shop, which is Scene, Tuye, and Bibeak. So I guess I'll start with Scene, since actually the out of these three is the operator I have the most experience with. So Scene is a summoner. So basically she can summon allies, or is it like minions, allies, whatever you want to call it. I just call them summons. You can summon summons, which in our case is the drone, is the this buggy camps. I guess, yeah. Like these buggy camps. So yeah, which is basically there's a sea of talents. Can summon 5 mobile camera drones and enemies within the 8 surrounding tiles of the buggy camps or camera drones or whatever they call it, NPM or what. They will also lose tiles, lose stealth, which is actually kind of a big deal. Since actually there are a lot of like the modifiers, like in CC5 there is a modifier where the hammer boss, not hammer boy, hammer boss is invisible, or it's like the one in the Broken Path CC, where the spiders are invisible. In some where it's like you get the idea. I mean, generally, it's invisible enemies aren't the hardest to deal with. It's all you need to do is just block them. But in certain cases, you may not want to block them, like for the exploding spiders. It may actually since the explosion damage they do is actually very high. So you generally don't want to block them. You want to kill them off like in like outside, like far away from the operators. So because of how this like how they say how replaceable the drones are, especially with Q2, and generally how replaceable the buggy cams are, they are actually a very good way for you to do that. For you to like just place the buggy cam down like in a group of spiders, then maybe have your operators to like nuke the area, like firewall skill 2. Since I'm building firewall shop, that's why it came to my mind so early on, or stuff like I don't know some other skills, maybe your AoE caster skill that just quickly clear up the spiders. And then they explode, kill the buggy cam, which isn't a big deal, which is a big deal since they are quite replaceable, especially with skill 2 active, which I'll talk about more. So yeah, that's kind of like I think I guess I haven't mentioned, but how I tend to use the buggy cam scene provide kind of be using them more as like as using more as like gravel that actually does damage and can survive very well. It's kind of hard using the buggy camps. I know some people that will use the buggy camps as more like a duelist guard like Manenta, like my friends, or even like what Rumby has mentioned about how you use the scenes drones. They've used like the drones more as like a duelist guard. I tend to use it more as like a fast redeploy, like gravel stuff like that. So I guess that's something. But yeah, I think she is actually very strong. Though the playstyle I found that when I use her instead of like deep color is very different. Because deep colors the tentacles aren't as replaceable as the drones. Because there is no way for you to get them back. The only way to get back like the tentacles is to actually retreat deep color, which generally isn't the worst thing since deep color doesn't cost too much since she is a 4-star. A 4-star summoner, the archetype doesn't really cost too much, but it is quite a bad way because you get what I mean. So I tend to find myself the way I play deep color and scene very different. So yeah. Anything else? What else do you want to start about? In general, I don't really think so. I guess. So yeah, I guess anything. The stealth is actually the stealth removal is actually the stealth camouflage or whatever, like revealing is actually very useful. Though I'm not exactly sure. Though I haven't really had much reason to use it too much, like for the revealing aspect, since I do have silver ash. But yeah, but overall it's still a nice new F, and overall scene is actually very strong. If you want to build her, I'll say go ahead. If whether you should build her over the color, it's kind of up to you to be honest. Since like I said, the way I play with deep color and scene is completely very different. I tend to use the deep colors. How do I say? I tend to use deep colors tentacles as more of like a guard. Like you say, more of a duelist guard. There's a lot better that has some survivability with them. Since deep color skill one, which is a skill one, is a skill on deep color that I tend to use more, actually provides healing. So yeah, I guess do I be don't think so. I don't think I'll bring deep color since I think it's more or less want to talk about it. Whereas scene is more for like I just deploy, retreat the drones to kind of like do whatever they need to hold back certain enemies, maybe. Like, I don't know, hold back certain enemies that would be problematic for now, at least. Maybe like, I don't know, the hammer, some stages like the hammer boys that stun. I hold back the hammer boys to let the other mobs and other enemies coming first, so for my opponent to deal with, before I bring the hammer boy in to actually kill more efficiently, since I can target him down more. It's kind of like that, I guess. That's kind of how I tend to use the scenes and the buggy camps. I kind of realize I'm kind of repeating myself, but I think you should get you. This should be a very good example. Like we should get understand what I mean by that right now. But yeah, scene I say build her if you want. Build her definitely. Whether you should build her over deep color, really up to you. I can't really give a definite answer for that. It's really I guess based on your playstyle. It's like a deep color and scene. I play them very differently. So yeah, just I guess I just move on to scene skills. Skill one, where all the drones gain increased 30% attack as well as camouflage, which basically means they cannot be targeted by like the enemy's range attacks, which has actually come in very useful to be honest. Since especially how do I say it? Because a lot of the times, I don't know how do I want to say it. Mm, it can be useful camouflage since like there is a lot of skills that can give camouflage. Then pretty sure the only other two is like heavy rain skills, as well as firework skill one which only gives to herself. I mean in most cases or not, I say it can be good since since you actually cannot the scenes zones with skill one doesn't actually have any form of self sustain. So against maybe like Faust, by using her in the Faust stage, it might actually be good for them to actually be camouflaged so they can focus so that you can actually allocate like the bulk their health for more for the melee enemies that they're blocking than to tank the Faust shots. Okay, leave the tanking of Faust shots to maybe like more important to like better suited operators like maybe Saria or monster stuff like that. Your higher defense operators to tank the Faust hits. So it really depends on how you use it. It can be hard to play since, like I said, I don't tend not to use the skill one too often since like I said I tend to use the drones as more of like a fast redeploy. And the fact that I don't even gain the camera drones back compared to skill 2 is also a big thing why I don't use skill 1 that often. The fact that I actually don't want the drones to be camouflaged since there have been cases or not, I use the carrier drones more of the like the aggro away and like ranged enemies like the casters, stuff like that. Yeah, the casters attacks or stuff or even just Faust charge attacks like I say. I tend to use it's kind of like how you tend to play with. It's not bad, like I said. It's definitely not a bad skill to have. Not a bad skill, just that it's very niche. To me, I know of people who tend to actually like skill one a lot because of the infinite duration, stuff like that. I I don't really know much to be honest. I guess I may, if I can find it, maybe I will link Cookie Kaze's video about Sim. He explains the use cases for skill 1 a lot better. I guess I haven't used it too much. I haven't found a need for the camouflage, to be honest, in most cases or not. Though the skill 2 buffs and the gaining back the camouflage is actually a lot more useful. So yeah, skill 1 isn't a bad skill, just I don't have really find a need use case for it personally. So on that note, I don't know. So I guess I'll move on to skill 2 now. So skill 2, yeah. Like I say, it's actually a very good skill. Has very relatively low downtime and also doing a lot of stuff. So skill 1, the skill 2, skill 1. Skill 2, you immediately gain back the buggy cam. As well the fact that the cameras have an expanded scouting range, which is them losing stealth. I'm not exactly sure by how much, as far as I'm aware. I don't know how much. Because like I said, I don't really use the drones for the stealth remover. So it hasn't really like mattered to me too much, so I haven't really paid attention to it. But just know that it does do that as well as increasing the attack defense of the drones, as well as giving them arch resistance, which is very much a big deal. There have been cases where the extra arch resistance actually help the buggy cam to actually survive hits, like more like hits that they shouldn't be able to survive. Since I have cases where I use them to like aggro away the arch attack, that the damage that the castles will do, which actually is actually a big deal since the base stats of the buggy cams themselves, they do not have any like arch resistance. The extra 15 arch resistance actually has helped them survive hits, so that actually can so that they actually pull away the pressure, the range pressure away from the back of our operators longer, so they actually can focus on killing the enemies better, stuff like that. So the arch resistance actually has been useful, as well as the attack and defense. It's actually very good since they already have quite a decent amount of attack, so boosting them by 80%. I actually found that they can actually that the buggy cam itself can actually solo a lot of enemies when they're buffed this way, buffed by skill 2 already. So yeah, defense same as resistance, survive a lot more hits. They can actually survive like 2 charged pulse hits because of it before. Yeah, like deploy the buggy cam now before the false charge attack hits. So the first hit that the buggy can survive, the tanks is the charge hit. Then 2 more hits down to a sliver health at 60 if I'm not wrong. Where I have right now at this. Barely survived the sliver health. I didn't check how much because I didn't really bother. And then the last charge hit will kill the buggy cam. So that's something like a big impression on me about how defensive the buggy camps actually become with the skill active. That's been a very big thing for me, a very big impression on me. So yeah, so actually, this is kind of like I say, just does a lot. Skill 2 just does a lot. Gives you back 1 camera drone, which is actually very big for me. Because like I said, I use them for fast deploy purposes, as well as giving them a very high attack, so that she can help to thin out the crowds by blocking like one enemy, like filtering out certain enemies that you specifically want to, for the buggy cams itself to kill, so that your other operators can focus on more like the other enemies. Defense helping surviving a lot more hits than they should, as well as the resistance. They just do a lot. And the stun generally isn't a very big deal for me, like I said. Unless because I'm using that as fast deploy, so the stun actually hasn't been that big of a deal for me. By the time the skill ends, more or less, the job I want the cameras that is specifically deployed in that round to do should more or less be done by now. It's like either they killed the enemy already, that I want them to single target out, or they've already delayed the 17 seconds has already passed and they've already delayed the specific enemies long enough for my other operators to already have cleaned up to actually properly receive the enemies are trying to isolate out. So if anything, the stun hasn't been the big of a deal. I think actually does count facilitate, like I said. If it's the second scenario, the stun actually helps, since the stun they cannot block the enemy any longer, so it can help to really get them back in. well, they actually can recover health from either from Perfumer or Scouter. Because I tend to use both of them when I ever use a summoner, whether it's Deep Color or Scene, to get them back up. So I just do that, let them come in. So actually don't need to replace them, so actually can have a stockpile of Camel Jones that way for really more pressing fast deploy matters. Kind of very skill 2 is actually very strong. But I don't it just does a lot. Like I say, only thing can drawback is the duration isn't too long, which is help with your mastery. But yeah, as well as the stun, which for me it hasn't really been an issue because of how I tend to play Scene. But I have heard that it is a very issue for like one player, like for like some like the Scene solo stages stuff like that. Has been a Scene solo or even like some other friends who tend to use Scene, like I said, for a duelist guard. Just kind of using over the damage has been an issue for them. But for me personally, hasn't the stun is anything hasn't really been a very big deal of anything. So yeah, skill 2 is actually the skill that most people go for. This is general skill to use. Yeah, this just does a lot. It's actually a very strong skill. But the thing is, I actually found it balanced. I find it a very balanced good skill. Yeah, so it's strong, not overpowered. That's it. It's definitely strong and not overpowered. And also mention about Scene. Since Scene actually does do us damage, even though it's actually not a lot compared to like casters. But the big the little bits of art damage can actually help out a lot. It's kind of there. Scene is just kind of there, if anything. She's actually the art damage is actually very useful. There have been cases where there's kind of like cases where I use it as a kind of like a pseudo caster. In the other stages where they ban the use of casters. You get what I mean. But yeah, Scene is actually a very strong operator. If you want to build her up, I really have no qualms about it. If anything, I would actually recommend you build her up. So yeah, I guess I'll move on to the next operator, who is Tuye. Tuye, yeah. What race is Tuye? I don't recognize that. I don't know what race Forte is. Camel is she? Is she, right? Yeah, it's a she. She's a cam, I think, because of just the animals in the back in the art. Oh yeah. Tuye, who is a single target medic. There's more or less about, I think everyone knows what single target medic does. Their talent. After not healing for 4 seconds, she will increase the heal amount of the next heal to 150%, which is actually very good. It is actually very good for skill 2. Skill 1 not so much, but talent is actually a very good talent since most of the time they're not. There is a brief period, like between the heals, either from because you're waiting for the next wave to come in or from like the boss. In most cases or not, if you're fighting against a like crowd of enemies, which is like most waves in Arknights, since actually Arknights, most of the time enemies comes in waves. Because of that, generally it's more like the big burst healing for the first heal and then afterwards it's not really useful. But against bosses where their attack speed tend to be more staggered, it would actually come in handy. Increase healing. So especially against bosses tend to do more damage per hit. It's actually a very good talent. Could be better, probably. Maybe if it's 3 seconds. Actually kind of feel 4 seconds in some cases like it's actually quite long. I personally feel like if it was 3 seconds instead of 4, the skill will actually be a lot more stronger. But Tuye is a 5-star, maybe that's a balancing for her being 5-star, I guess, I don't know. But you actually feel like 4 stars is actually slightly too long. If it's 3 seconds, actually I feel like it'll be like multiple times stronger the skill. Don't need to be 2 seconds. I'm not exactly sure, don't think 2 seconds will be needed. I think 3 seconds is actually a very good point already. If I think with 3 seconds, I feel it'll be a lot more stronger. Based on more experience, I actually has found out a lot of times where, because of that extra second, I could not get the extra heal, but instead of 3 seconds, I actually would have gotten the extra healing percent. It's kind of that, I guess. It's actually, even at 4 seconds, it's actually still only a very strong talent. I can't really argue with it, per se. So I think that's more or less about it, I guess. About the talent I want to talk about, yeah. Actually a very strong talent. Yeah, a very strong talent. Just that I'll prefer it was 3 seconds instead of 4. There have been cases where the 1 second mattered. So yeah. I guess I'll talk about the skills. Skill 1. Aqua Loop. when you activate the skill, immediately heals a target and grant them a shield that is lasts for 4 seconds and can absorb damage equal to 160% of 2 years attack. How people talking about skill stuff, shielding all the stuff like that. I kind of like to compare it to kind of like overheal. To be honest, since he will also heal them. I kind of been using it as more like a whole overheal mechanic. You heal the operator and then giving them like an extra bit of health. I won't say it's more like barrier stuff like that. I'll just say it's just extra health. This is basically how I would like to describe the shielding as. Extra health. Extra health equals the 160% of 2 years attack. Do take note that it's of 2 years attack, stuff like that. So the talent won't factor into the extra healing even if it has more than 4 seconds of that. It will just affect the healing, the talent. It will not affect the shield that the skill provides. So that is something to think of. But 60% is actually not too much per se. It's like 600-ish, 700-ish. It's actually not too much shielding. But can make or break it, to be honest. Can help your operators survive the one big hit, stuff like that. Like Faust charge hit, I'm talking about it since you kind of pain in the ass. Fighting against him in both 5 and 7 for Vigilo. But yeah, kind of use it more for like overheal in like most cases, like in most games like that, overheal. But I think the only thing I'll say would probably is drawing back the skill is the fact that it doesn't hold any charges. The skill actually hold charges. Even if it is still that long, 13 seconds charge time, I'll say it will actually be infinitely times better. So that's my only gripe about it, to be honest. But other than that, the skill actually has a very strong niche, I guess, to be honest. I actually have tested it out in the Vigilo 7. She has tested it out. Actually did allow my bubble to survive more hits, the extra shooting from Patriot. And actually even allow my AFL to actually survive a Patriot Spear using a friend support one. I never built up my Tuye much. I'm still transforming her. So yeah, I kind of been playing around with it, I guess, the shooting. Just kind of want to experience, see how much it will help. How much does it help to actually allow my operators to survive hits they shouldn't be surviving, stuff like that. Which, as it's actually a very strong skill, to be honest. Helping your operators survive hits they shouldn't be able to survive, so that he can maybe do more longer stuff like that. So yeah, if anything, a very niche skill, since in most cases not, skill 2 will be a better skill to use, but in those specific cases where skill 1 actually matters, it matters. You know what I mean? So yeah, a very strong niche skill. And I guess I'll move on to skill 2, which is the general skill that people use, even myself. It will increase attack by 40%, but however, infinite duration, so it will last forever. 50-second charge time, Nike 30, the Nike a lot less since there is an initial SP, but here gives out why this is a matter, why there's actually an initial SP. Yeah. So increased attack, but however only heals allies with less than 50% health. So it's kind of like Warfarin skill 1's extra healing, which actually does help, so you make sure that the heal isn't wasted per se. But it can be bad since it's kind of the comparison between Sari and Gami. 50% health, make sure that the healing isn't wasted, but sometimes you actually want them to heal even when they're not max health, stuff like that. But in most cases, not, it is a good thing. So yeah, and then the second effect, whenever an ally within 2 years attack range falls below 20% health, Tuye will immediately heal the operator for 300% of 2 years attack. To take note, this 300% is already on top of the 40% buff that Tuye will receive. And you take out 1 charge of the skill out of the 3 that the skill has. And when all 3 charges is activated or used up, the skill will end. So you have to recharge another for the 50 seconds. I actually really like this mechanic. It kind of helps provide like another layer of utility that skill 2 provides, like that extreme burst healing. You kind of tend to see like people using it to use it to help like certain skill 3 to survive longer. That's like the biggest thing I see about it. But actually helped me a lot in certain scenarios, like against the hammer boss of the Mirana event. which is the charge hit is actually a very big damage hit. Because even for like my bulkiest of defenders, like my bubble can actually bring bubble down to sliver of a health. So actually with the skill actually 100% stuff like that, she can provide a lot of healing for bubble, like quick burst healing. So that bubble can actually survive another hit before like my other medics can actually start to properly heal up my bubble. Since it's immediate. The healing is immediate. It is not a factor of the attack level. So it's kind of very big in that sense. The quick instant burst healing that the second part of the skill provides is a very big deal. It's a lot. So I think it's really more or less all I can really say about Tuye, to be honest. As they're very good instant healing. So like I said, 20% is kind of low. I just actually to mention, but 20% is kind of low. If it's 30%, I'd actually don't need to be 50%. kind of very wasted. It's kind of very wasted since how much healing that she provides at E2 and M3 if you decide to. But 30% will probably be better. Yeah, I kind of understand 30% and stuff like that since she is a 5-star and a free one at that. So maybe they want to balance it out. I don't know. The game is a PvE game, so balance generally isn't really too big for you. Unless they're planning to release another like a 6-star Tuye soon, where they fix all of these issues I have with Tuye. Maybe that's something they want to do, or they're planning to do. I don't know. I'm not Hypergriff. But yeah, Tuye skill 2 is actually a very strong skill. Like I said, I did kind of compare like Tuye skill 2 with skill 1. So I realized I've been using Ceylon skill 1 kind of like how like Tuye skill 2 is used. kind of something like that. But yeah, skill 2 is again very good burst healing for like emergency burst healing for your allies against especially against bosses, stuff like that. So yeah, if I ask me whether I want to build Tuya, I'll say she isn't a very high priority since she is harder to use compared to like other single target operators, not healer medics like Susuro. She will be harder to use than like Susuro, Hibiscus, stuff like that. So she may not be a high priority, but I do not regret building up, to be honest. I do not regret playing around with her like, as a fan support, stuff like that. The amount of healing the skill 2 provide is actually very high and actually very good. So if you're gonna build Tuye up, I really don't have any qualms about it, to be honest. So yeah, it's kind of actually, you kind of realize that this kind of trend. It's actually all 3 operators from the C shop is actually very strong. So yeah, it's kind of more or less let's talk about Tuye. I'll move on to Bibeak, who as far as I can tell is actually one of my friend more favorite operators, even myself. I'm kind of beating over myself. I actually did not buy the skin. I don't know. I did not buy the skin since back then. I actually did not own Bibeak yet when the skin came out. But yeah, I kind of regret not buying the skin. The skin is actually very nice. Eh, look at this. And compared to this one, she just looks more cute. Yeah, looks more. She just looks a lot more cute in the skin, given the chibi form. But yeah, there's more. Yeah, but Bibeak is Swords Master apparently. That's his double strike. They just tend to like to call her a double strike guard. But yeah, she's now apparently called a Sword Master. But the thing is that the attack hit twice. But do take note that the skills, since they don't like charge up twice as fast. It's like even though the attack, even though she attacks twice per attack, even though she damages twice per attack, I'll say that, yeah, she damages twice per attack, but the skill is charged based on per attack, so it doesn't charge up twice as fast. If you get what I mean? It's kind of a big gripe I have with them. But I personally feel like if the trait actually helps like stacks with the skill charging, like the skill actually charges twice per hit, like twice whenever they attack. I actually feel like a lot of the dual side guards actually be a lot better than they are, especially like churn stuff like that. So yeah, As I said, I guess I haven't mentioned, but I haven't built Bibeak up yet, so I actually don't have much experience with her. Since right now I'm building up Tachanka and Chen, especially Chen, since I've kind of been neglecting her a lot. I later got to 200 trust before I even before I even played much with her. So I kind of making up with it for Chen right now. Kind of playing around with Chen right now, as well as Tachanka since already in the middle of building him up before Chowder came. So I kind of still be using it. I haven't really found much use for Tachanka skill 2 actually. I've I kind of still been favoring skill 1 over skill 2 for Tachanka to be all honest. I'm not exactly sure why. Just kind of feel like skill 1 is stronger than skill 2. I really don't know why that's the case. Maybe I'll look more into it, but it's just a feeling I have to be honest. I just feel like skill 1's a lot better than skill 2 for Tachanka. So, but yeah. I'll move back to Bibeak, yeah. So Bibeak, I haven't really built much yet. I've played around with fan supports as well, actually. So I did have a rough estimation of how good she is, which is actually very strong. So what other like content creator I mentioned or made like that, like Excessive. I watched quite a lot of the Excessive, the no gacha account, stuff like that, where Bibeak is actually shown a lot, very well, as well as other stuff, other content creators, or even my friends themselves. So yeah, so none of this is really most of this isn't my personal experience, but I guess so, yeah. That's a disclaimer all the way, I guess. I haven't really used Bibeak much. I haven't built my Bibeak at all. My Bibeak is E0 level right now. So yeah, we kind of has to be debating about who I should use the E2 ticket on, the E2 voucher on. So if I decide whether to use it on La Pluma, Bibeak, or Beeswax. These are the on no kind of less, but yeah, kind of like the three or four they are considered. I'm not exactly sure about that. But yeah, but Bibeak, La Pluma, and Beeswax are the three operators I'm debating on using the voucher on. I still haven't decided. Maybe one day I'll make one day when I get big enough, I guess maybe I'll leave it as a poll. Like who should I use it on? Something like that, I don't know. Or if I haven't decided by then, when I get big enough. But yeah, still haven't decided out of the three, like who I should use the E2 ticket on. I will see, I guess, to be honest. But maybe by that time I already have start building up just by myself to use her. So I don't even use the ticket yet. I don't know. But yeah, I haven't built up my Bibeak yet. So yeah, take whatever I say for Bibeak with a grain of salt, I guess, or pinch of salt. What's the proper term? Is it grain or pinch of salt? Can't remember really. Is it take it with some salt, I guess. So yeah, I'll move on to a tenant right now, I guess. Tenant is soul absorption. She increases attack speed for every enemy that she kills, taking up to 5 layers. As I mentioned above, this is actually a very good skill, very good tenant for that. It kind of solves like kind of semi-solved. I won't say completely solved. It kind of semi-solved like the biggest issue I have with dual side guards. It's just how long the downtime of the skills for the skill charges is. Because of this, she actually attack faster, so she can get back her skill charges actually a lot faster as well. But it's actually very good. Actually, a very good talent. Kind of like that, to be honest. Attack speed. You do not know just how big the attack speed is. How to charge up her skill faster, as well as doing more damage. It's kind of like it's really like that. It's actually a very big deal. It's actually a very big deal. The only issue is the fact that I said it requires for you to kill the enemies. Since most of them are not, Bibeak's attack isn't actually too high for a guard. So the fact that the attack strike twice, so technically the damage, the DPS is actually supposedly considered high, but they're double affected by armor or defense. So yeah, they're doubly affected by defense because of the trait of attacking twice. So they actually have technically lower attack than other guard operators. So that is a big deal, I guess. But so like I said, if anything, the skill actually does kind of helps semi solve some of the issues I have with dual strike guards. So yeah, there is like I think some wind up for you to actually kill. Maybe want to weaken the enemies, maybe with Saga's talent. I guess that's probably the biggest way you can do so. Or maybe other ways like your AoE guards or your AoE casters. Because AoE casters generally generally doesn't kill, and it but yet has very high attack and very long attack interval. So kind of like just pick up a group of enemies, and then Bibeak can kill them before the AoE caster can actually do another attack. It's kind of a way to make use of the slow attack intervals of AoE casters, I guess. That's kind of how I found myself using Bibeak at some point of time. Because it was actually mentioned by my friend who likes Bibeak and uses Bibeak quite often. Kind of how I likes to charge to get Bibeak's talent charge up, I guess. It's something the other time you told me, I guess. I don't know how it is. I play around with it. It has somewhat be useful, but also kind of hard. His AoE casters generally cost a lot as well, by the 20 to 30 plus. Like even lava, I'm pretty sure costs like 28, something like that. They cost a lot, so you're doing this to try to set up, but using high cost operators to set up. It's kind of there, I guess, but you get my idea, I guess. You want to find some way to charge up the talent, since actually the talent is very, very beneficial for Bibeak. So yeah, that's really more or less what to say about it, I guess. You will also be having the potential for her, I guess, so you can gain one extra layer. She's in the CC sword, so it's actually very easy to max spawn her. But yeah, it's kind of more or less what to say. The talent actually solves a lot of semi-solves some of the issues I have with the boss fight guards. So yeah, I guess I'll just straight up move on to the skills right now. So skill 1, there is a 3 cost, so actually I keep considered very low cost, very low cost. But yeah, the next attack deals 150% damage to the target, as well as extra arts damage to the another enemy further behind. I guess ahead, we will look at Bibeak, but you get what I mean. Not exactly sure how this stack up with the trait, since I haven't used the skill 1 at all, to be honest. I have to be outright honest. I have not used the skill 1 at all. So I don't exactly know how it works, like in a sense. But I've heard that the skill 1 is actually supposedly very strong in terms of just damage. That's what I've heard. I don't know how true that is. I don't have any experience with skill 1 at all. So I can't say much. I do know that the cost is actually considered very low. So if you want like constant high damage, skill 1 is the go for, apparently. I don't know how true it is. I haven't used it. So it's kind of more or less can say about it. It does do very good damage, that's for sure. And they're also having so if you have the talent charge up already, because they're constantly doing the bonus damage from the skill will actually have very fast uptime if you have the talent stack up. So for my help, it's actually very good consistent high damage. I don't know how true it is, but yeah, it's kind of more than to say about it, I guess. Supposedly very good consistent high damage. I'll move on to skill 2, which is her bread and butter, or general skill, whatever you want to call the term, the skill that most people use. So it's actually a charge skill, as per usual. It's actually a charge skill, so you can hold charges. But I said it charges as per all dual strike guards. You only charge whenever she attacks, which is helped out by a talent. So the skill, where in this range, she will deal 170% arts damage to at most 6 enemies ahead, while stunning them for 1.2 seconds. It's kind of how people has been kind of using it. How do I say it? It's kind of more like a more consistent Texas, I guess you kind of put it that way. Yes, it's kind of how I put it that way, I guess, if you ask me. Since I guess more people will be more familiar with Texas than Bibeak. More intuitive, but then also more focused like Texas skill 2. I've seen people use it to completely lock down the golems, the golem, by just stun locking the golem whenever the golem is trying to attack. So I've seen, but I'm not exactly sure how big that one was, since the showcase I did see was using NG, so I'm not exactly sure how much NG's talent actually affected the stun locking capabilities of Bibeak skill 2. But yeah, so I guess also I'm mentioning the fact that the skill actually does us damage he helps her out, like he deal even like what deal more damage to the skill, the burst damage, like he clear out the crowd. Since Bibeak, Bibeak does have quite a does only block 2 stuff like that, and the damage isn't too high, and I'm running low on space, so I'm just quickly finish this one up, I guess. But yeah, it's actually very useful to stun. Stunning big crowds of enemies, or even the boss, I guess, stun locking the boss, or golems, or high, or like the stronger enemy stuff like that. Skill is actually very strong, even based on my own experience, or even just Ceci's videos. Just watch it, or other people's videos, stuff like that. Or some just other channels like the Roll come together, I can't exactly remember to pronounce the name, where he or she just uses only warfare operators, stuff like that. There's a lot of showcase out there for how good Bibeak skill 2 is. Don't take it from me. I have not built up my Bibeak at all. You shouldn't take anything from me, to be honest, for Bibeak. I can't say anything from all personal experience, but from what I've seen, skill 2 is very strong. Both from clearing out the crowds, or even just for like stun knocking certain boss enemies like that, to be honest. It's actually very strong. Then you should want to M3 the skill 2, if anything else, because of the lower SP cost. So as well as the stun duration being increased. So you actually have more time to actually charge up the next charge for you to use it. So if anything out of these 3 operators, I would say out of these 3 operators, Bibeak will probably be the operator you want to M3 the most out of these 3 operators. So yeah, if anything, think really that's more or less it, to be honest. I guess I never mentioned about the module, I guess. Oh shit. That's fine, I guess. I guess I'll just quickly talk about scenes module right now. Remember it right now. 41 plus seconds, 1 minute per second, yeah. So for scene where the first summon will not use up any deployment slots, as well as I'm not refund yet, which is somewhat useful in solos. I'm pretty sure I've heard. Since a lot of in some cases where you may reach the deployment limit, I don't know. As far as mobile, it doesn't like it's the deployment limit that's affected, not the hard cap limit that Sin's talent like provides. You can only deploy up to 5. It doesn't make it to like 6 or stuff like that. It only matters about the deployment since the summons do cost the deployment limit, the deployment cost. Figure what I mean? As I said, it's actually a very good additional trait to have, a very good bonus to have. Just not as as big as like other modules like deep color stuff, but deep colors where she gains a lot more tactical stuff like that. It's a very good trait to have, just not the biggest one, I guess. Maybe that's the reason why it didn't register to me. And Bibeak's one, it just increased 10% attack for skills. Alright? Yeah, I think so. For the additional 10% skill attack, skill damage, which is actually gonna be very beneficial for her, since in most cases, not generally, she will actually slowly lose charges. Like we generally won't be able to get back the next charge of our text within the next 1.8 seconds after that. So because of that, you'll generally want to kill the boss first before you lose all Q by charges, and it's not able to charge up the next charge before they attack next. So the additional skill damage would actually help you facilitate that, because that's where the bulk of our damage comes from, which is the burst and damage the skill provides. But it's still not much. 10% is still not too much, because since Bibeak's attack is generally not too high in the first place. But like I said, it's kind of like Scene's module. It is a nice thing to have. So yeah, it's more or less about it, I guess, to be honest. I think that's about it, I guess. I guess I'll go touch on my summaries after that. So summary is, all 3 of them are strong. If you're going to build them up, I really honestly cannot say much about it. If anything, I also recommend and encourage you to build all 3 of them out. So yeah, I guess I'll just talk about Scene skill 1. I guess talk about Scene skill 1. Camouflage is actually very good, as well as an infinite duration attack buff. Personally, haven't really found much of a use for it though. Skill 2 does a lot. Skill 2 does a lot. Only thing drawbacks is the fact that the slow, relatively long skill uptime, as well as the fact they do stun. The adjuvants are stun, though not as big of a deal for me because of how I play Steam. So yeah, skill 2 is very good. If you're gonna entry it, why not, I guess, to be honest. The increased buff, or like the increased attack buff, defense buff, as resistance buff, attack, compared to skill rank 7 can be very big, but generally not gonna be needed even. I already found success of just using her at E1 max rank 7. And then Tuye. Skill 1 is really more used for kind of like overheal, kind of like in like other games I play, kind of like a mechanic like that, overheal. So there's extra health. Don't usually see it as like a barrier or shield stuff like that. It's just extra health. Just see the shooting that 2 years skill 1 provide is extra health, allowing your operators to survive hits they shouldn't be able to survive. Skill 2, a very good instant burst healing for against especially bosses, since their one big hit can bring your operators down to very low health. And because of how delayed or how long the attack interval is for all medics, so if you're actually just counting on your medics to just heal them by themselves, they may not actually be able to heal them fast enough before the next hit from the boss. But because 2 years is instant, whenever the allies drop below the certain threshold of health, should immediately heal them like that. So it's actually very good for immediate heal to bring the operators up back to health for them to survive more hits from the boss. Before inevitably the three charges that use up, I guess, for the skill. But yeah, very strong, very strong burst healing from the skill 2, and a good additional health buff that skill 1 can provide, I guess you want to put it that way. So yeah, very strong operator, Tuye is also still. And then Bibeak skill 1 is supposedly known for very good constant high damage. Don't know yet. I haven't built up my Bibeak. And then skill 2 is very good crowd control as well as stun locking. Crowd control for most general enemies, as well as stun locking for bosses. So very strong operator as well. If you're going to build up, I cannot argue with that. It's of how it's of all the high praises I've heard for her from both my friends as well as other content creators. To what extent, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't built up yet, but if you're going to build up, at least for right now, personally, I cannot argue with that either as well. So yeah, all 3 operators from the CC store is actually very strong in their own rights. If you're going to build out, I really cannot argue. So I think that's really more or less about it, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, this has been Dogcesy talking about the CC shop operators. Bye bye.